Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another amazing show. This is Real Estate Uncensored. We are talking with Ryan Smith. He is a phenomenal podcast. He and I just launched an episode over on his site. It's called Launch Your Farm. I probably said that wrong, but he'll correct me. That's totally cool. But we're going to have a blast. We're going to talk about farming. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about lead generation. We're going to just talk about being your best possible self. But before we do that, here's your countdown. Okay, so Ryan, I gotta tell you, man, I'm so excited to have you on the show. We just did a recording for your podcast. I want to hear more about that. I want all my listeners to hear more about it. But we're going to talk about, lead generation. Like, how are you going to get your business in today's day and age? So, for everybody who's lived on a giant rock, they don't know your name yet. Tell them who you are, where you're from, what you do, and what your podcast name is.
Awesome. So I am Ryan Smith. I am the host and creator of Launch Your Farm. So I have a podcast. I've got some training programs. I've got some courses. I eat, breathe, and sleep farming. So geographic farming. I'm a licensed agent myself. I've been in the business coming up to 15 years now. I've been through it all. One of the things that was the catalyst for all of this was I moved now 4 times in my career, and I really had to start over every single time. When I got started in the business, I moved 4.5 hours away or 4 hours away from where I grew up. Didn't know anyone. Started fresh there, moved again, started fresh again. And I tried everything under the sun. I tried everything you can think of, and I failed along the way. And I've really started trying to piece together what works, what doesn't work. And I kept coming across this geographic farming thing. And I was like, I don't know if it's for me. And then because I'd moved a bunch of times, I wasn't sure it was for me. And then I dabbled in geographic farming. I really started figuring out. I tried my first farm, failed miserably. Tried my second farm, failed somewhat, and then I cracked the code, I'd like to think, on my third farm, and we really took off with that. And I got a passion for helping people at the same time. I was working as a productivity coach in my office, and I was doing training, and I was doing speaking, and I realized that I really enjoy teaching other people the things that I've learned and helping people avoid the mistakes that I've made along the way and helping them work through those things. So I have a podcast, as you mentioned, and I've got some programs, and really I'm just out there trying to get as much love for geographic farming and bringing it back, but doing it in a new and an effective way, and not the way when most people think about farming. I would say it's not just about postcards and door knocking. There's so many different things you can do with a farm and do well at it, and really finding what that is for each agent.
So it's an interesting question you bring up right there. And the question I want to ask you is this: how? How do you get out of that rut that so many agents are in, and how have you found success getting out of that rut? So I'm going to pass the mic back to you.
Sure. Yeah. So I think with the how, it starts with a why first. So I think you have to know why you want to farm in the first place. And when you do it correctly and you have the right why, it makes the how a lot easier. And I don't want to sound all hippy dippy, but the why matters as to what you're doing and why you want to do it. And because why you're doing it is going to dictate what you do in the farm. And because the things I teach in farming, I don't teach a one size fits all approach where it's like, go do this one thing. This is the only thing you can do. My thing's the only way that works. You can only do it this way. What I teach is find things that you're good at, that you enjoy and that you like to do, but then also layered in with other things that are going to be effective for you. And some of the things I teach, I created this thing called the SCOPE method, and it stands for self-promotion, community, online, offline, prospecting, and education. And in order, in my experience, to have a very successful farm, or really any successful business, you have to make sure you're balanced in those areas. You can be amazing at self-promotion, but if you suck at the community aspect, if you suck at online and offline marketing, if you suck at prospecting, if you suck at education, you're not going to have the best business you can have. So when you learn to balance your business by having and elevating all the levels of your scope, you create a much more effective overall business that will generate business consistently. So then you go, okay, now I know I need to fill in those areas. What strategies do I want to put in place? And then you start to go, okay, what strategies can I work and can I put together and what I call strategy stacking that will overlap and work well, that are efficient and effective, and that will help create a safety net so that if one of those strategies gets pulled out, my business is still going to go forward and continue. And I use COVID as an example. There's a lot of people who are out there door knocking, and that was their only source of business. And I know you're down in California and you had the shutdown like we did. You can't go out and door knock. You can't go out and do that. So what I found is that a lot of agents have one or maybe two pillars of business, but they don't really work well together. And if something happens, rule changes, technology changes, competition comes in, you're not really protected. So when you learn to stack your strategies using that scope method, you can be more efficient with your time, get more out of it, and then they start to elevate. And this is why I think farming is so impactful, is that you can layer your strategies in one area and it becomes so much easier. And I'll use an example of FSBOs. So when I first got started, I was doing FSBOs all the time, and I had success with FSBOs, and it was a cornerstone of my business. But when I started farming and then doing FSBOs in my farm, it became so much easier to do the FSBOs because I've already doing those other things, and it's reaching the people in my farm at a high level. Then you can layer in door knocking in there. You can do open houses in there. You can do all these other strategies, and it becomes way more effective. So the how is dictated on what you want to do and why you're doing it. And I think we can dive into the different strategies and how to do it, but really it comes down to staying focused. And the what I've learned, the key is to focus on the action and not the outcome. And it's something that I've had to learn, that so many people get off track with farming because they're looking for that instant result. They're looking for, if I send out this one postcard, if I go out and door knock for a week, I want to get the outcome I want. And the truth is, if we're committed to doing farming consistently and doing it effectively, focus on those actions that you're doing and know that they're gonna succeed. It's a long-winded answer.
No, there are so many questions I have for you. When I look down, I'm not disrespecting.
No. Hey,
I'm taking notes because I want to ask you questions on stuff that I'm interested in. When it comes to scope, doors, calls, videos, social, out of the box marketing, just crazy stuff. I mean, what have you really seen that's been the most productive outside of the traditional marketing, aka doors and calls?
Yep. So this comes back to that strategy stacking. It's something that I've done, which in my farm, we did a neighborhood home prices report. So we did a monthly report that went out, and it was not to everyone. It was to people that wanted to get a copy of a report. And we did a hard copy report. And we used to have I don't have it here, but we got binders from the dollar store, and we put a front cover on it. And then we dropped off the binder with a report. So we did 6 months worth of sales. We had some information and some educational materials in there. And what happened was, I don't know if you're familiar with Bold at Keller Williams. I got the idea from Bold, where when you go to Bold, you get your binder the first week, and then the next week you come back and you get your next week stuff, and then you get your next week stuff. And so I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, how can I create something that people are going to hold on to and someone's going to value, instead of just sending a postcard or sending something like that? So I created these binders, and what happened was we dropped them off, and it cost us about $10 up front for each one. And we dropped them off. And then each month we started dropping them off in person. We'd go back, and our farm had about 3,600 homes, give or take. And we ended up getting about 450 people on a report each month. And we were dropping off these report. And what happened was we found we were getting consistent sales. And then what happened was we'd show up to an appointment, and people would have the binder, and they'd either have it on the table ready to go as soon as we get there, like, oh, here's your stuff. And what it did was it created an opportunity for us to have a conversation each month. When we dropped it off, it put a name to a face each month. We were able to show value each month, and we were able to create communication that most agents would never do. And it showed, it had value because it was a tangible thing. And I use the example of books. I read a lot. I love books. A physical book has a whole different value than an ebook. I've downloaded hundreds of ebooks with the intention of reading them. They sit in my inbox or my download section, and I never go back and read them. But when you have a physical thing that you can hold on to, there's a different perceived value there. So when we have this report, when you have a physical thing, people valued it in a completely different way than just sending out an email blast or sending out a digital newsletter. And it created a ton of value, and it made us stand out a lot. And that really was what the catalyst for us really taking off in our farm. And it was a great value add, and it was a great way to prospect. It was a great way for us to get in front and educate people. It was a great way for us to tie in other things. We had a newsletter that went in there. We had sponsorships. So we had other businesses and vendors that we were working with that were sponsoring it. So it tied in a lot of the strategies into one avenue and allowed us to hit people in different ways.
So that's really kind of how you tied back and built relationships with the community and with your prospects by bringing value to them. I have to tell you, I was on a plane years ago. And when I was on the plane, I was reading a physical book. And a guy across the aisle from me turned around and goes, "Hey, I want to hire you." I'm like, "The fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Dude, none of my employees would sit on a plane and read a book about getting better in their business." I'm like, "Well, you hire the wrong fucking people, first off."
Yeah.
But is that physical, tangible thing? Like anybody who knows me, I carry notepads everywhere I go.
Yeah.
See, they're everywhere.
Wow. Yeah.
And these are the small ones. But there's something to be said about that because you can put it from hypothetical to realistic when you actually take the time to write it out with a pen. And I completely understand where your mindset is on that. So let's talk about videos and social media really quickly because I know you're on a tight timeline today. You got a ton of stuff going on. Social media and videos. You pick dealer's choice. Which one would you like to tackle first?
I think we'll start with video because it's something that can tie into the social media as well.
Okay, let's do that.
So video for me is something that I'm passionate about. And I think, again, from a different perspective, most agents, when they do video, they think of real estate listing videos or they think about self-promotion videos where they're talking about how great they are.
True.
Those do work and they can be a part of your business. But from a farming perspective and from that community ambassador perspective, videos can take you to a whole different level, which we talked about on my show. Something that I talk about all the time is called CPR. It's community, positioning, and relationships. And the P is the positioning part where you position yourself as an ambassador and the expert. And one of the things you can use video for is to elevate that positioning in your farm at a growth rate that no one can match you with, and you do it very simply. And one of the things I talk about is interviewing local businesses and things that are happening in the community is one of the easiest, one of the cheapest, and one of the best ways to build relationships, which is a key part of it. It's a great way to connect with people who are in the community. It's a great way to add value to the people that you're serving in the community because now you're creating content that's going to matter to them. You're letting them know about the things that are happening in the community. You're connecting and adding value to those local businesses who, if they're staying in business, obviously have clientele and hopefully they're living or around the area you're serving. And you can use that video to then remarket yourself. You can use that video to rank higher on search engines. You can use that video to then cross promote because they're going to share it with their audience. So I would look at video from a very different perspective than most. I would say I would look at it as how can I get into the community and get community content with video? And I think if you do that, you'll stand out from the competition, bar none, way better than anyone else who's just going to sit there and do a talking head video or just sit there and do listing videos. You can still do those things, but if you want to stand out and want to create that value to the community, that video is going to be something you can use and use over and over again. And it also allows you to show, hey, I've got this library. I'm here. I'm committed. I'm doing this seriously. I'm giving back to this community, and it shows people that you're not just in it to get a deal and get out of there. Right. It shows the community that, hey, I'm a productive member of this community and I really care about them and I want to see it succeed.
No, I agree with you 1,000% when it comes to video. I've been a fan of it, as you well know. It is the old adage is that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but when it comes to video, a 30-second video is worth 1.8 million words. So imagine if you put up a couple of TikToks, a couple of reels on YouTube or anything else, your visibility and authenticity will go through the roof, and you don't have to pay for it. It's 100% free. So let's jump into social media. So Ryan, you went out and shot a video, right?
Yep.
Now, how do you leverage that video? Because shooting it, one, everybody hates how they sound. They hate how they look on camera.
Yeah.
And believe me, guys and gals, I hated how I looked and sounded on
I was
camera.
part of that club. So yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, why do my friends not have bleeding eyes and they're running away from me in droves?
Yeah.
It's because they already know you, trust you, like you, and they want to be involved with you. So we shot the video. Now what do we do with it on social media?
That's exactly. This is where the social media to me kicks in. Is then it becomes a place to share your love of the community, share what you're working on, rather than just talk about yourself or just talk about real estate. You can now share the community aspect. You can get involved. And one of the, in my opinion, one of the most underutilized angles of social media is Facebook community groups. So getting involved in the local groups in your area is one of the most valuable things, because those people are in that area. So if you live in the Orchard and you've got an Orchard group, you can participate and have dialogue and have conversations with those people, and you can do that en masse versus trying to sell just one-to-one. You can literally post a video and share something, and you can have 100 people in your community see that. And the other reason why that works so well is if you do this consistently, you're being seen and you're having the eyeballs on you, then they recognize you. They recognize your name. They recognize your stuff. So then when they get your neighborhood home price report, or they see your video, or they see your sign, or they see your outdoor knocking, or they see you at the community event, it all starts to tie together. And when you leverage social media, I would treat it as if you were that community ambassador. If you were the mayor of your town, that's been overused a lot, but if you were the ambassador for the area that you serve, what kind of content would your community want to see? What would bring value to them? So change your approach and say, hey, what do the people in this community want to know about? What do they want it to be to enjoy? I had someone on my show, and he does food. He does food. He goes to different restaurants and interviews and does videos with food. And I think in his area, there's 75,000 people in his town, and he has like over 7,000 people. He has over 10% of the population in his Facebook group about the community restaurants.
That's awesome.
People who are into food, who are foodies, are going to love that. They're going to be part of that. And so, like, if you can find something that you're passionate about, something that you care about, whether it's community events, whether it's community causes, whether there's things that are going on, using the video, using the content, by getting involved in those community groups, you will be able to reach people in a whole different way. And you can, if you're introvert, you may not want to get out and do it in the community, but you could do a video like this. But the key really is getting it out to as many people as possible and creating value or content that's valuable to them and they're going to enjoy. The more you do that, the more consistent you are, the more your name's going to get out there and the more you're going to grow.
Oh, dude, you and I speak the same language in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
But I mean, my father, who I've learned from, he always says, one stop, many sales. And video is the pinnacle for that, because I mean, I got a call from a gal, very sweet gal, named Karina. She and her husband are going to be moving to my main marketplace. And she's like, oh my gosh, I've been watching all of your videos on YouTube.
Yep.
I would love to talk to you about, buying or selling here in this area. And I'm like, well, that worked out pretty well for me.
Yep.
And the hesitation, and I want to conclude on this, the hesitation on people why they don't put themselves out there, I feel that they're afraid of not. You know what? Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say my opinion. I want you to say your opinion on why people aren't doing videos, because I'm pretty sure you have a better one than I do.
Yeah. So I've been in the business coming up to 15 years. And I remember when I started in the business 15 years ago, they were saying video is the future of real estate. And every year they say video is the future of real estate. Video is the future of real estate. And no one jumps on board. And you said it earlier, people are afraid of what they look like. They're afraid of putting themselves out there on video. They're afraid of sounding silly. They don't like the sound of their own voice. And the truth is, you sound the way you sound and you look the way you look. The video isn't going to change that. So I had Michael Creaser was on my show, and he said it very well, very eloquently. He said, you're actually, by doing the video, you're eliminating the people that wouldn't have liked you anyways. So if you're trying to be something you aren't, and then they show up and they don't like the way you look, they don't like the way you sound, they don't like the way you carry yourself, they're not going to like you in person anyways. So by doing video, you can, if you do it and you get comfortable with it, you can build a following of people who know, like you, and trust you. But the key is you got to do it and do it consistently. Like I said, trust the process, trust that action and do it. I can tell you, I was a person who I'm an introvert through and through. I was terrified of public speaking. I literally was afraid of having my friends get married because I didn't want to have to do toasts at their wedding and do speeches at their wedding. I was afraid of speaking in front of people. And I had a mentor years ago that forced me to go out and get uncomfortable. He made me go do a class at my office and teach. And I was literally, this is real estate uncensored, I was almost shitting my pants. I was sick to my stomach. I was nervous. And then I did it. And then I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then I did another class, and then I did another class, and then I started doing videos, and I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. But it wasn't until I actually started and pushed myself through that. But I could have sat there easily and just said, oh my God, I'm so scared. Oh, I'm going to sound stupid. You just got to do it. So my advice is, if you're thinking about doing video, record a video every day for a month. You don't even have to put it out there. Don't put it on anything. Just sit there and record a video. You can go through it, but don't watch them. Just record a video, get comfortable with it, and then just go out and put it out there. You don't have to watch anything you put out there. Just record it and get it out there. And if you
Just
do it,
get the fuck out there.
exactly, exactly.
Ryan, I couldn't agree with you more on this. The fear of being rejected is more powerful than the opportunity to be accepted.
Yep.
And like you and I, we both have shows, right? And I'll tell you one thing, I was terrified of doing a show. I was terrified. But at the exact same time, everyone's heard me say this 1,000 times on my show, is the fact that, like, I've never met a microphone or a camera that I don't like.
Yeah.
Now, who's viewing that? That's a totally different subject matter. But you know what? I cuss a lot. I have a show called Real Estate Uncensored, which you're obviously on right now.
Yeah.
And we named it that because we wanted to take the veil back from the real estate industry and say we're uncensored because we're going to show you everything that goes on. And then it just turned into me cussing a lot.
Yeah.
But you know what? We laugh and joke a lot with each other. If you find levity in anything and everything that you do,
Yep.
like, I have a lot of good friends, and we tell the nastiest, dirty jokes to each other. We pick on each other every single day when we see each other, and nobody's offended.
Yeah.
The reason why is because you found your pack, you found your crew.
Yep.
And like I said earlier, actually on your show, not all money is good money. And, you know, doing these videos, showing who you are, getting out there and just saying, hey, world, what's up? If you like me, phenomenal. If you don't like me, fuck off and die.
Exactly. And if you're afraid of rejection, video is the best because you're literally not even have to face anyone.
Exactly.
Like, you create it, and if they like you, they like you. And if they don't, they don't. So video is something you have to just do. And there's better ways to do it, but just get out there and do it. And always learn that when you see someone who's doing video, if you go back to their first videos, they probably sucked. And what you see now is not where they started. I was just watching with my family the other day. I'm like showing some of the videos that when I did 15 years ago almost. I was terrible. I was uncomfortable. I was awkward. And it's like, and you look now, and I've come a long way, and I'm still got a long way to go, but you just got to get out there and just keep doing it. And that's like anything in this business, is with farming, with prospecting, with cold calling, with whatever you're doing. You just got to do it and get comfortable with that, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the quicker you do that, the quicker you'll see the results.
Well, it's like dating. Give less than one flying fuck about what someone thinks about you. If they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't.
Exactly.
And you know what? There's 7 or 8 billion or 9 billion. I don't know how many billion people are on the planet at this point. You know what? Some are not going to like you. I've met a lot of people who do not like me. Do not like me. But when they meet me in person, they're like, oh, you're totally different in person. I'm like, that was your perception of who I am. But once you meet me, it's a different ball game. So don't be afraid of showing different sides of yourselves. And Ryan, I want you to weigh in on our last comments here. If you are afraid of stepping out and doing something different than you've ever done, then you will never get what you've always wanted. So go, guys, go, gals, go out, just make a friend and say hello. That's it. It's like Ryan and I, like, he reached out to me. We got connected. I recorded on his show. He's recording on my show. And you know what? He said, "Hi, my name's Ryan."
Yep.
And I'm like, "What up, bitch? How are you?"
Yeah.
In the most positive way ever when I say that. That's not a negative connotation. But now we're doing this together because someone said hello.
Exactly.
And you brought value to my life, so I wanted to bring value to your life.
Yep.
And now we're having fun together, just laughing and being idiots, and joking around.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Ryan, final thoughts for you, my friend.
If you're thinking about farming, start. It's just like real farming. I'd like to garden. You have to plant that seed, and if you don't plant that seed, you're not going to get the results. You're not going to get the harvest you want. And the longer it takes for you to do that, the longer it's going to take for you to get those results. And I've talked to countless agents who have come to me. I was thinking about it. I've been trying to do it. I'm putting it off. I'm waiting. And the longer you wait, the longer it's going to take to get those results. So just start. Do something. It doesn't have to be mind blowing. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. So just get out there. If you're thinking about farming, like you said, get out there, meet people in your farm, build a relationship, say hello to someone. That's all it takes to start.
I fucking love you, dude. God, you speak my language. I mean, we were laughing. Then I have a question for you that will close the show down. But when we first started our podcast, I went back and watched some of our original videos. Number one, I don't know what I was thinking with my hair. And I did not know what was going on with my audio. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the videos. I'm like, huh? Like, how do people watch this? And it's because they said hello. It's because I stepped out of my comfort zone and actually went and did something. So I think you put it very, very well right there. But here's the most important question of the show. Are you ready?
Yep.
Now, we play a game at the end of every show.
Okay.
It's called putting a bow on the show.
Okay.
So what color do you want to put on this bow for this show?
Blue.
Besties. That's it. Besties. Blue is my my favorite color, by the way. So that's why I'm saying that. All right, Ryan. People, if they want to get to know more about you, want to watch your podcast, get in your realm, where would they find you?
So the easiest place is launchyourfarm.com. Everything you can link out to from there. You can find me on social. You can find the podcast. You can find my training. You can find the blogs. If you search Launch Your Farm, you'll find me. Hopefully, I've done my job, and you can find me on social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. If you search Launch Your Farm, you'll find me.
Where are the links? Where would they go?
Go to launchyourfarm.com, and you'll find everything on there.
Okay.
But if you Google me on any of the major platforms, you'll find me as well with Launch Your Farm, and you can connect with me there. You can watch the show. I'm coming up to 100 episodes now.
Nice.
Not nearly as long as you, but I've been doing this 2 years now, so it's been a fun thing. So as I always tell people, check out the show and watch. Your episode will be out next week, so you can check that out. Launchyourfarm.com is the best place to kind of get started.
There it is. Guys and gals, remember, he's a devastatingly handsome man. So just look for that incredible face. Click on it. Click on his logo. Launchyourfarm.com. Go get it today, right now. Do not hesitate. This will be a lifesaver for all of you guys. So now, Ryan, we're going to put a blue bow on the show today.
Right.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And to all the listeners and followers, guys, go ahead, put some comments in there. Do a hashtag Ryan Smith. Do a hashtag Greg McDaniel. If we brought value to you, give us a thumbs up. Give us a 5-star review on every single place you guys listen to podcasts or watch these podcasts on YouTube. Because we're out here, we don't make a lot of money doing this. Actually, we make almost no money doing this, to be honest. We have a lot of fun, and we want to make sure that you guys will get some intel to make a lot of money for you and your family. But until next time, peace out, ninjas. We gone.